This difficulty in obtaining travel documents is causing grief to many. Questions relating to this problem have been asked several times on our Ask the Lawyer segment. As you are well aware, Attorney George Willey discusses the American law, not the Indian law. Therefore, we decided to bring the answers to you directly from the Consul General of India, Honorable Sanjeev Arora. Due to time limitation, we will not be opening our lines to listeners. However, rest assured, I will be requesting for information which you have been asking repeatedly. Now we bring to you news about the Indian Consulate from the Consul General himself, Consul General of India, Honorable Sanjeev Arora. Hello.
Good morning, Veena ji. How are you?
Good morning, Sanjeev ji. How have you been doing?
Very well.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good. Thank you so much.
Good morning to all your listeners.
Yes, and thank you for agreeing to do this because this was really important. And, to begin with, I would really request you to talk briefly about the various services that are provided by the consulate office with special emphasis on the consular services.
Well, sure. As you know, the consulate in Houston was set up in 1995, the last of the 4 Indian consulates in the United States. And since the inception of this consulate here in Houston, the volume of work has expanded many-fold, which is, I think, a very positive development, and it only demonstrates our increasing engagement and cooperation with a vital region of the United States, covering 9 southern states that we service from here in Houston. Now, currently, let me say that, first of all, by way of consular services, because I was told today you're mainly interested in consular services. Well, it's a huge and ever-growing volume of work. My office in Houston, on an average, renders between 600 to 700 consular services. You see, visas, now for nearly last 1 year, surrender certificates, which incidentally was the case earlier also. I'll come to that later, because a number of people used to send their Indian passports for cancellation. That is mandatory when you acquire foreign citizenship. Then, of course, passport services from all over this large territory assigned to us. And there are other miscellaneous services, attestations and so on. And, of course, 2 fabulous schemes of Government of India for persons of Indian origin, the PIO card scheme and the OCI scheme. So that is the volume of consular services we are dealing with. You would be glad to know that the Indian consulate in Houston, in terms of consular work, is among the top 10 missions and posts of Government of India abroad.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
And, with regard to other work, I'll very briefly mention, because I think today your focus is on consular, but business promotion, of course, is a very high priority, and, the region that we cover from here accounts for nearly 25% of the total India-US bilateral trade, and also substantial investments in both directions.
Okay.
And that's another area where naturally we have to be proactive, and I think we have every reason to be satisfied and glad, and we have a very good potential of further increasing our business. Educational institutions, we have a large and increasing number of international students from India. We are regularly engaged with them, with various universities in these 9 states that we cover. We also have a very interesting and productive dialogue with think tanks, with media, and that's how I'm speaking to you. So anyway, I think in a nutshell I would describe all this as public diplomacy. And of course our close, our regular and very useful interaction and cooperation with the large Indian American community in these states in a spirit of mutual respect. That is certainly a very high priority. And in the consulate's jurisdiction, we have, the population of the Indian American community is close to 500,000.
Mm-hmm. Well, lately, like everyone is aware, a few changes have taken place in the process of visa issue, etc. And many listeners are sort of in a state of confusion. So they have requested a clarification, and I'm grateful to you that you have agreed to offer that. The people of Indian origin are being asked to produce their original Indian passports, which many of them, frankly, do not have. Now, after 20 years or so, they are unable to find them. Now, what must they do? What are the options?
Well, first of all, I would believe that the information in public domain that has been publicized widely should not leave any room for confusion. You see, I would request your listeners to visit the consulate website, www.cgihouston.org. There is a very clear advisory with regard to renunciation of Indian citizenship. And, of course, for all the information related to visas, they are advised to visit the website of our outsourcing agency, Travisa, and it is www.indiavisa.travisaoutsourcing.com. Incidentally, my consular section has brought to my attention that there are also a few other companies, perhaps some travel agents and so on, who have similar names. So I think applicants should be sure that they're visiting the right website, that is of the outsourcing agency. And the outsourcing agency's job since the end of 2007 is to receive applications, bring those to the consulate, the processing and decision making in each case in accordance with the laid down rules and procedures applicable in each case, naturally is with the consulate, has to be with the consulate. And then these applications are returned to Travisa, and those are dispatched onward to the applicants by them, and in some cases collected at the window of the Travisa office. Now, specifically with regard to this renunciation of Indian citizenship, Meenaji, very quickly, first of all, it's not a new requirement. You see, when an Indian national acquires foreign citizenship, it has always been mandatory to get your Indian passport cancelled. And as I said, we used to get such applications earlier also. However, in recent months, Government of India felt it necessary to re-emphasize this advisory, taking into account various factors, including many cases of misuse where people were found arriving at Indian immigration points carrying both passports, the US passport as well as an Indian passport, which is illegal. And Government of India said that, well, besides cancelling your Indian passport, we would issue you a surrender certificate.
I see.
So there is a prescribed form again on this advisory that I have mentioned. And now those who have, for some reason, misplaced or lost their passports, the issue you just raised is a relevant issue. In that case, Meenaji, for when you make an application for visa, there is, a possibility, and this is